It started like any other day. The sky over London was grey. Streets were cold and quiet. People wore heavy coats and walked with their heads down. But something felt different in the air. People were waiting. They didn't know exactly why, but they felt it in their hearts. Something important was going to happen. Outside St. Mary's Hospital, a small group began to gather. At first, it was just nurses and staff. Then came people from the neighborhood. Then people from far away. Some held flowers. Some held candles. Many held nothing at all, just sadness in their eyes. Some people stood in silence. Some whispered prayers. A little girl asked her mother, "Will they come today?" The mother didn't answer, but she nodded, wiping her tears. The news had spread quietly. A nurse named Emily had died just days ago. She wasn't famous, but she was a hero. She had worked hard during a long crisis, helping many patients. She always smiled, even when she was tired. She once met Princess Kate during a hospital charity. Visit that day, Emily had smiled more brightly than ever. In a video that later went viral, she said, "It was the best day of my life." That moment stayed in people's minds. Now that same hospital was full of sorrow. People didn't expect anyone royal to come, but still, they waited. They hoped. They needed something, anything that could help them feel better. Then, at around 10:45 a.m., something happened. A black car appeared at the end of the road. It moved slowly, almost quietly, as if it didn't want to disturb the moment. Crowd turned. Some gasped. Some covered their mouths. Others whispered, "It's them. It's really them." And then the car door opened. Prince William stepped out first. He looked serious, respectful, and calm. His eyes were gentle, but heavy, with emotion. Then came Princess Kate. She wore a long black coat. Her face was soft, kind, and full of quiet strength. She looked around slowly, meeting eyes, seeing people's pain. The moment they appeared, everything stopped. No one cheered. No one clapped. No one moved. Even the wind seemed to slow down. Some people cried immediately. One man whispered, "I can't believe they came." A nurse who had worked with Emily covered her face with her hands and sobbed. A teenage boy took off his cap and looked down in silence. Something deep was happening. It wasn't just about two famous people visiting. It was about something more, something that reached inside people's hearts. William and Kate didn't wave. They didn't smile for cameras. They didn't act like royals. They acted like people. People who cared. They walked slowly toward the hospital wall. There, someone had made a small memorial. It's photos of Emily. Flowers. Notes written by children. One card said, "Thank you for your kindness." Another said, "You made the world better." Single candle burned, even in the light wind. Kate bent down and placed a single white rose on the wall. A small tag hung from the stem. It read, "To Emily. Thank you for your light. Love. W&C." Some people gasped. Others couldn't hold back their tears. One older woman whispered, "They came for her. They really came for her." William stepped forward and bowed his head. He stayed that way for a long moment, hands folded. Then he placed his hand on the shoulder of Emily's father, who had quietly joined the crowd. The man looked broken, but when William touched him, he nodded slowly. No words were needed. Kate hugged Emily's mother gently. The woman cried into her shoulder, but Kate didn't pull away. She stayed. She whispered something no one else could hear, maybe words of comfort, maybe just silence. But it meant everything. A small boy holding a teddy bear stepped forward and gave it to Kate. She took it, held it to her heart, and then gave him a small hug. He smiled just a little. In that little smile, something changed. It was like hope came back for a second. The moment William and Kate appeared, something quiet but powerful happened. They didn't bring speeches. They didn't bring cameras. They brought respect. They brought love. They brought healing. And that's when the crowd knew this was no ordinary visit. It was a memory that would stay forever. A moment that would be told again and again. A day when a nation didn't just watch royalty, they felt them. And for many, that was more than enough. It was the beginning of a day the world would never forget. Some moments stay in people's hearts forever. What happened next was one of those moments. No one planned it. No one expected it. But once it happened, no one could forget. After Prince William and Princess Kate placed the white rose and spoke, to Emily's family, they stood still in front of the hospital. But they didn't leave. That surprised everyone. Most important people, even royals, stay only a few minutes. But William and Kate stayed. And what they did next left the crowd. In complete silence, they asked quietly to go inside the hospital. At first, the hospital staff was surprised. No media, no warning, just a simple request. Can we meet the people who worked with Emily? There were no bodyguards rushing in, no special treatment. Just a soft, respectful voice from a prince and a princess who wanted to do something. That felt right inside. The mood was quiet and heavy. Many staff members were still in pain from losing their friend. Some were tired. Some were still working through grief. But when William and Kate entered the hallway, everything stopped again. They walked slowly, nodding at nurses, doctors, cleaners, and volunteers. Everyone was surprised, even a little nervous. But when Kate smiled softly and said, "Thank you for everything," their hearts melted. It wasn't fake. It wasn't for cameras. It was real. They were taken to the small break room where staff had been sitting between long shifts. It was small, not fancy, just a few chairs, a table, and a tea machine. William and Kate sat down like anyone else. One nurse named Sarah later said, "I couldn't believe it. I was holding a paper cup of tea with shaking hands. And then the princess sat right next to me and asked me how I was feeling. She didn't ask about the hospital. She didn't talk about duty. She asked about feelings." That was when people started opening up. A young doctor told them about the night Emily stayed 2 hours after her shift to help a struggling patient. She didn't have to, he said, but she couldn't walk away. Wiped her eyes as she listened. William looked down, quietly taking it all in. One nurse talked about how Emily used to bring small chocolates for the team on hard days. Another said she always made the new staff feel welcome. And then someone whispered, "It's hard without her." Kate reached out, touched her hand, and said, "I know." That simple sentence hit everyone in the room, because she meant it. She knew what loss felt like. The royal couple had faced their own grief. William had lost his mother, Princess Diana, when he was just a boy. Kate had stood beside him through hard times. Their pain had taught them how to comfort others. For a moment, there were no titles, no status, no fame, just people. People who had felt pain and people who were trying to heal. They stayed for almost an hour. William talked to a young man who had only joined the hospital a few months ago. I didn't even know Emily that. "Well," he said, "but I saw how much she meant to everyone." William said gently, "Sometimes even a short light shines very bright." That line touched many hearts. Later, the young man shared it on social media, and it spread quickly. People from all over the world started repeating William's words. Even a short light shines very bright. It became a symbol, a reminder, that even one kind person can change many lives. As they stood up to leave, Kate turned back and looked at the staff. "You are not alone," she said softly. "She would be so proud of all of you." Staff clapped quietly, not because they were meeting royalty, but because they had been heard, seen, and understood. It was a moment of healing, one they didn't expect, but one they deeply needed. Outside the hospital, the crowd was still waiting. They didn't know what was happening inside, but they could feel something had changed.
Ow.
When William and Kate stepped out again, the air felt different, warmer, softer. A mother holding a candle said, "They didn't come to be royal, they came to be human." The couple walked slowly back to the car, not looking for attention, but everyone watched. Number 1 spoke loudly. Some clapped. Others just nodded, tears still in their eyes. And when the car drove away, something remained. Not just memory, but meaning. It wasn't about being famous. It wasn't about news. It was about love, respect, and kindness. It was about showing up when it matters most. And that was only the beginning of what would become one of the most emotional days in the country's recent memory. Sometimes The quietest moments are the ones that stay forever. After Prince William and Princess Kate left the hospital, the street didn't go back to normal. People didn't leave right away, they stayed. Some stood in silence, some talked in low voices, others cried softly while holding each other. The whole area felt like it was wrapped in a blanket of emotion, but what happened next made the day even more unforgettable. Later that afternoon, something unexpected appeared on the hospital's outside wall. Someone had placed a printed photo of Emily and Princess Kate from the day they met during the charity event. The picture showed them both smiling, and Emily looking excited, and Kate laughing kindly. It was a happy memory. Beside the photo, someone had written, "She lived with love. She left with honor." That small message touched people deeply. Soon, more flowers and notes were added by strangers. One said, "We never met her, but we miss her." Another said, "The way William and Kate stood with us today gave us strength." It wasn't just about Emily anymore. It was about every nurse, every caregiver, every person who works quietly and gives so much, but is often forgotten. People started sharing photos and stories online using the hashtag for Emily. It spread fast. Not just across the UK, but in many countries. A young woman in Scotland wrote, "I never knew her, but I feel like I do now." The way the royals came today made us feel seen. A man from Australia posted, "When Princess Kate hugged that mother, I cried. It reminded me of my own mom." That kind of kindness is rare. That evening, news reporters stood near the hospital and told the story with soft voices. There was no shouting, no drama, just respect. One news anchor said, "Today we saw not just royals, but people who understood pain." Videos of William's quiet words inside the hospital were shared online, especially one line that many couldn't stop thinking about, even a short, "Light shines very bright." That quote spread like fire. Teachers wrote it on school boards. Nurses posted it in hospital halls. One cafe even painted it on a wall above their door. It became a simple reminder that no matter how short a life may be, it can still change the world. That night, thousands of candles were lit in different parts of the country. Small memorials appeared in front of local clinics and hospitals. People came together to remember Emily, but also to thank others like her. It was beautiful, but also emotional. A young boy who had just lost his grandmother stood with his father holding a small flower. "I wanted to bring this for Emily," he said. "She helped people like Grandma." And everywhere, people kept talking about how Prince William and Princess Kate didn't just visit, they felt it. They stood in the middle of pain and didn't look away. In a television interview later that week, one of the nurses from St. Mary's said something simple but strong. They didn't have to come, but they did. And they didn't come to be royal, they came to care. The royal family didn't release any big statement, no formal video. But that made it even more powerful. Their silence spoke louder than words. Their actions said everything. People trusted that feeling. It was honest. It was real. In many ways, the day had turned into something much bigger than anyone planned. It became a national reminder that kindness, grief, and honor don't need grand speeches or large crowds. They only need presence and heart. A group of students at a local school created an art wall with drawings and messages inspired by the moment. One simple picture showed William, Kate, and Emily standing under a heart. Under it, the child had written, "Heroes don't wear crowns, they wear kindness." That drawing was shared by thousands online, including hospitals, schools, and even the official Kensington Palace social media page. It became a symbol of the day. That night, when people looked at the stars, many said they felt something they hadn't felt in a long time: togetherness. Even in sadness, there was warmth. Even in loss, there was hope. Because sometimes the strongest days are not the loudest. Sometimes they are made of small things, gentle hugs, quiet tears, and the simple presence of people who care. And on that day, Prince William and Princess Kate gave the country all of that and more. Some days come and go, but some days stay with you forever. This was one of those days. Even after Prince William and Princess Kate left, The feeling they brought didn't fade. In fact, it kept growing. Their short visit had opened something. Inside the hearts of thousands of people, not just grief, but hope. And it didn't stop at the hospital gates. The next morning, something unexpected happened. A handwritten letter was shared online. It was written by Emily's younger sister, Lily, just 14 years old. She posted it with a simple title, "Thank you for seeing her." In the letter, Lily wrote, "My sister Emily was my hero. She used to make me laugh when I cried. She taught me how to ride a bike. She was the kindest person I knew. When she died, I thought the world would forget her. But then the prince and princess came." She continued. "They didn't come with big cameras. They didn't talk about themselves. They came for her. They stood beside my parents. They hugged my mom. They listened to her story. And for the first time since we lost Emily, my parents smiled." Even if it was just for a moment, the letter went viral. People around the world read it. It touched hearts everywhere. One woman in India commented, "Lily's words made me cry. This story reminds us all to love deeper." Another person from Canada wrote, "The royals didn't just show up, they showed care. That's what real leadership looks like." And the love didn't stop there. Days after the visit, hospitals across the country began holding small remembrance moments for their own nurses, doctors, and caregivers. Some lit candles, others planted flowers. Many wrote the phrase on banners and walls. "Even a short light shines very bright." That one sentence from Prince William had become a message of comfort to many who had lost someone. Schools created kindness walls. Children wrote letters to nurses. Some sent drawings to Kensington Palace, thanking William and Kate for being brave enough to feel. Inside the royal household, even though they didn't speak much publicly, close aides said, the couple were deeply moved. "They didn't go that day to be seen," one aide said. "They went because they felt it was right." Sometimes what is right is not loud. It's quiet, gentle, honest. A week later, something truly special happened. William and Kate invited Emily's family to a private garden near the palace. There were no cameras, no press, just a quiet space with flowers, trees, and sunlight. There, they sat on a wooden bench and talked. They laughed softly at stories about Emily's favorite music, her silly jokes, her love for chocolate biscuits. They cried too. This time the tears came with healing. William gave Lily a small bracelet. It was silver and had 3 small letters engraved. "Led W." Lily looked at him, confused. He smiled gently and said, "Lily, Emily, William." 3 lights. All different, but all strong. Kate handed their parents a framed photo of the rose they had left at the hospital. On the back, in Kate's handwriting, it said, "She will never be forgotten." That garden meeting wasn't shared with the world until much later. But when people found out, they were not surprised. It was exactly what William and Kate had shown all along: real care, quiet support, and true respect. The story of that emotional day continued to inspire others. Months later, charity was launched in Emily's name to support young nurses in training. William and Kate gave their full support. The charity's slogan was simple: "Shine like Emily." It helped hundreds of students, gave hope to tired workers, and reminded people that kindness never dies. People still talk about that. The day 2 royals stood without a speech but said everything. The day a nurse's story touched millions of hearts. The day a quiet girl's light spread across the world. It wasn't a day full of grand events. It wasn't planned with big media shows. It was quiet, honest, true. It was a day when the country didn't just watch royalty, they felt them. They cried with them, they healed with them, and for the first time in a long time, they felt united. So even now, when someone speaks of the moment Prince William and Kate appeared, they don't talk about clothes or cameras, they talk about hearts, they talk about a white rose, they talk about a little girl named Lily, they talk about Emily the nurse who smiled through pain and gave everything. And they remember the emotional day that left the nation speechless and full of love.